us right up to date. Are your forces at this hour moving out of Jenin?
Thank you for having me on CNN, Paola. We are now in the end of achieving our goals inside Jenin, fighting the terror and dismantling the terror in Jenin camp. This terror have made in the last year more than 25 Israelis that have killed from the West Bank, the terror from the West Bank, and those roads are leading to Jenin camp as a hub of terror. And we've been dismantling in the last 2 days the hub of terror in Jenin. This hub in the camp was containing industrial laboratories of explosive and a safe haven for the gunmen all over the West Bank. The gunmen that concurred, the terrorists that were doing terror, were running and fleeing into Jenin camp. And we were dismantling in those last 2 days. We are achieving our goals, and when we achieve our goals, the forces will get out from the camp.
Mr. Hagari, in terms of the timeline, why did it even take the 2 days? You went in with significant force. We're talking armored bulldozers. You were striking from the air in a very crowded urban area. Why do you think it's taken this long for you to accomplish, and what did you accomplish in the end?
We were working very safely and accurately, and those safely and accurately rules take time. In this operation, 11 terrorists had died so far, and no non-combatants have died. No non-combatants have died.
I'm going to stop you there because we do. No, I want to stop you there. So we do understand that, in fact, that no non-combatants have died, but certainly some have been injured, and a significant number, in fact, thousands, have had to leave their homes likely destroyed. They've been huddling in mosques. They've been huddling in the hospital. At times, Palestinian authorities tell us that medical personnel has not been able to reach them. So in terms of non-combatants, I know what you're saying, but do you deny that there has been significant damage done to the civilian population there in Jenin?
I want just to make sure that some of the facts that you're giving are incorrect. I just came out of the camp. I was there for a couple of hours myself, and what I saw, ambulance driving freely in the camp, and we are assisting those ambulances to evacuate the wounded. In the same time, the population were not ordered. Whether they were not ordered to stay or to get out, they were doing it freely of their own free will, and I can understand them because it's not safe. This camp had become a terror safe haven, and they don't feel safe in this area while we're fighting terror, and the terrorists have embedded the camp. They put explosive under the roads, in the roads that we knew by intelligence that they are explosive. We ruined only the areas that were booby-trapped before. In their camp, there are more than 13 kilometers of roads. We have ruined only 2 kilometers, only the ones that we had intelligence that were ready against us in freedom of action, but also even innocent civilians could have driven those roads.
You understand as well as I do that actually 2 kilometers in a densely populated area like Jenin is actually a vast area. And I do understand what you're saying, that at times ambulances were able to get through. But we just heard from Médecins Sans Frontières working in a hospital in Jenin. They were very graphic about describing the fact that it was hit with tear gas, that they had to evacuate at times, that they had to abandon operations. The UN is adding to a chorus of voices saying that they are alarmed by the IDF operation in Jenin in a densely populated civilian area. Why was this, with this kind of force, necessary, given everything that we've just heard from the civilian population there?
I think in the measures of force, it's very, very accurate and minimized. The hospitals that you're talking, there are 2 hospitals next to the camp. And I have to let you know, but by intelligence, we know that some of the gunmen in the beginning fled with ambulances to the hospitals. And in the last couple of hours, we've been fired from one of the hospitals on our forces. I have seen a movie of firing on a hospital. We're checking it out, but we are not entering into hospitals. We did not fire severe fire on hospitals. It's not in the rules. We did not do that. And there are riots in front of the hospitals, and some of the riots were, because it's next to our forces, we use tear gas on the right next to the hospitals.
And you know as well as I do, having experienced tear gas before, that that's as good as hitting right into the hospital, especially in those crowded spaces. Mr. Hagari, what you're trying to insinuate is that you've used restraint. I think most people would doubt that it's contradictory. You're saying you needed overwhelming force in order to clear out a hornet's nest of terror, and yet quite clearly you could not and you would not use restraint in a civilian population.
I think the numbers talk by themselves. Only 11 combatants, the one that we know, and even the Palestinian Authority knows that they were handling with targets of terror, were killed, and non-combatants were killed because we are flying UAVs, looking for gunmen. We are using special forces from special units that knows the rules of engagement, and unfortunately there are wounded people because they are embedded with the terrorists. But so we will try to minimize the collateral damage. We will try to minimize the hurt of civilians, and I believe that the next couple of hours, when we'll finish the goals, we'll get out of the camp, but then we will come back to the camp only when we have intelligence. But now we have freedom of actions. There are no explosives under the roads. The terrorists don't feel it's a safe haven, and the terror will low down. It's our duty as the IDF to fight against terror. There are terror acts in Israel almost every day, including today.
Mr. Hagari, I see that, you know, the IDF reserves the right to go back in again with overwhelming force. What did your Prime Minister mean when he says that Jenin is not a one-off?
The Jenin, again, sorry?
That your Prime Minister said that Jenin...
You can repeat the question.
Yeah, your Prime Minister said that Jenin is not a one-off. It is not a one-time thing. What did he mean by that?
I think he meant, well, I didn't hear him, but I can tell you, we will act when we have intelligence prior to terror acts, or after a terror act, we will chase the one that did the terror act. This is our rules. We do not need to do large operation like this. The camp required it because it became a safe haven, because of the explosive, because of the laboratories that were already industrial. We didn't have any other alternative but to act the way we acted. In other places, we have intelligence. We come with small forces, only for a couple of hours. We take the terrorists out of the village or the city, and we don't control the city like we did with the camp, and we're trying to minimize the time that we're staying there. The time that it took, it is in order to be precise and minimize the casualties of the non-combatants. This is why it took 2 days, and I believe that in a couple of hours from now, we will take out our forces and we will come back there only when we have intelligence. But those terrorists that fled the camp and are not fighting against soldiers, they choose not to fight against our forces. They hide or ran out with ambulances. Those terrorists, if they come back to the camp, if they will plan terror against Israelis, we will come and arrest them or fight them in the camp.
Mr. Hagari, I will say that the IDF is capable of surgical strikes. This was not a surgical strike. This was overwhelming force, as was described by the IDF forces. We're going to leave it there, though, for now, Mr. Hagari.
Why do you say it's a overall
armored
strike?
bulldozers, strikes from the air in a densely populated area with dozens of women, children, and families injured, and thousands of others seeking shelter wherever they could in hospitals and mosques that were then subsequently attacked.
In terms of war, in terms of not hurting non-combatants, what we did here was very precise, very minimized. In the end of the day, the numbers talk. We were trying to minimize it. It became a huge safe haven, a huge place of explosive. A country cannot stand aside when terror acts are concurring inside Israel.
Understood. Mr. Hagari, we will leave it there for now, and we really do appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Paola.
Hadas Gold is